traction. Drop the clutch, pedal to the floor. Turn that giddy part into a lion's roar. Dream machine, racing queen. I'll take you wherever you wanna go. Let's blow this town, break the speed of sound. Tonight we own the road. Dream machine, racing queen. You make my heart beat. You make my heart beat. Dream machine, racing queen. You make my heart beat. You make my heart beat. Red along the highway, blue lights flashing behind me. Dream machine, racing queen. You make my heart beat. You make my heart beat. Dream machine, racing queen. You make my heart beat. You make my heart beat. Dream machine, racing queen. You make my heart beat. You make my heart beat. Red along the highway, blue lights flashing behind me. Dream machine, racing queen. You make my heart beat. You make my heart beat.
A very good evening to everyone tonight. I'm Ryan Hill. I'm with you in the booth. This is SimRace South Africa. We are back with Monday Night Racing. We are going to be showcasing the GT3 series tonight, round 2 at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. That is about a 4.5k circuit. Many know it well. It's been a little controversial as well with the chicane and without the chicane. For Formula 1 that is. Tonight we have the chicane in for the GT series racing. And we are going to be seeing some good action on track tonight. Here's a quick little track map. I'm not going to dwell on it too long. There's a massive long straight all the way after turn 16 down to turn 1, which has a sort of a gentle couple right-lefters into a long right-hander of turn 3. And then across you go. We will be showcasing a little hot lap guide on that just to get a driver's eye perspective from the cockpit. But the interesting thing for tonight is, of course, the weather forecast. For those who haven't heard, it is wet out there, and 40% cloud cover, 40% rain, and fairly cool temperatures at about 23 degrees, which I believe is going to yield a track temperature of not much warmer than that because of all the rain. It's also an evening race, 8 p.m, so in fact it may even be the same, if not a little bit cooler, with the rain cooling it down. So yeah, let's see what happens tonight. In terms of the drivers out there on track tonight, this is round 2 of the championship. Round 1 saw the following results you see on screen for Division 1. Martis Boyce pedaling his Ferrari 296 to the top of the log, followed closely by Paul Fenter, Mike LaRue rounding out the top 3. As you can see from the field of cars, there's a very strong showing between the Ferrari as well as the McLaren, with just a few smatterings of other manufacturers in between. We see a McLaren of Ross Bartle, obviously Paul being in the Aston Martin as well. Nice to see is a very strong car in the wet weather, so I'm quite keen to see how everyone gets on to tonight with the rain. In terms of lap times, I mean, it's so difficult to say. These are just some of the lap records that were recorded on simracing.gp for the last time we were out at Barcelona for the people that are falling into Division 1 tonight. 143.6s and so on. You know, I'm expecting that to be way slower in the wet, you know, in the order of something like closer to 2 minutes, 154 perhaps for the fastest time, and all the way down up to the 2-minute marker on the dot, I would say you can expect for tonight. In the background while I speak, we still have qualifying ongoing. We have about 8 minutes of quali left. I'm going to fill up the next 2 minutes with that hot lap guy provided by one of the Coach Dave drivers. So I'll be back with you in about 2 minutes. And across the line. Alright, we are back live. Pictures now. You can see the spray. It is wet out there. Just over 5 minutes left of quali. We are currently on trackside here following Armand de Bod in his McLaren, a nice Lumo green and purple livery, followed very closely by who was that? You almost can't tell with the spray. What I am going to do, if you bear with me for 2 seconds, is while I hop into the menus, is just turn the driver names on just for everyone's benefit, including my own, just so we have a better idea of who is out there on track right now. But I can tell from my broadcast tool, where's Armand de Bod? I'm not sure who's following him at this point in time. That other car is too far behind. But anyway, he is currently second on the leaderboard with just 5 minutes to go. That is a very strong showing out there from the Macca driver. Hardest Boycer, meanwhile, oh, it is actually Hardest that was behind him. You can see there just in your pictures, following in the Ferrari, currently posting a 154.852. That is only 0.63 seconds faster than Amand Debod. So that is an incredibly close gap. Sean Bingham is out there as well in the top 3 currently. Good to see a different set of names out there. Amand Debod doing really well for himself. Mike LaRue, another strong driver here at SRSA. Out there for Venomworks, VRX Racing in his Ferrari, currently in P4. Also quite close, 0.175 up to Sean. And Paul Venter in his banana livery for LNR Racing. He is out there in his Aston, currently in P5. I've just seen Mark van Rensburg, as Paul Venter has a little bit of an off-track excursion. Mark van Rensburg has just pedaled himself in his Ferrari all the way to the top of the leaderboard, provisional pole. And yeah, good to see Mark still able to do really well here in a different car this season. He was in the Lamborghini and did really well for himself last season. I'm just going to pull up the Hall of Fame results here. It was, yeah, he earned a gold, not a gold, a bronze medal, 3rd place in the previous season Drivers' Championship. So definitely also a strong driver out there tonight. It's also really interesting to see which drivers traditionally do better in the wet. It is very much an equalizer for some. And others that on the other end of the spectrum may just struggle with it, but it does tend to shake up the field quite a bit. Just having a look at some other returning drivers here. I see Timothy Gomez out there in his red and yellow Ferrari. There's always in that one. Jason Luck is a firm favourite of the Porsche this season and last, and currently out there in P12. Just under a second down from the leaderboard's leader's time. We have Hannes van Veek currently in P14, pedaling his BMW around, one of 2 BMWs out there on track. Endron Govender, the other, just being slightly behind him. We have the Bartles out in full force. So there's looks like Roxanne Bartle in P18, and just as I speak, Ross Bartle rockets himself up into P2 in his McLaren, just 0.38 seconds behind the fastest time, which is now held by Hardest Boycer. No, it's been taken back by Mark van Rensburg. They are swapping frequently here to and fro, so jostling for positions. Looking down towards the further end of the field, Renier Hatting there in his McLaren, his personal best time of the 156.8. Richard Bera is currently just getting offline and correcting his car. Looks like he's had a little bit of a spin. I really dig those alloy wheels. Nice choice of color there, contrasting nicely with the black. We have Jaco de Beer out there in his Ferrari. And Tyron Myberg just rounding out the current field as it is right now. We have 2 minutes left to quali. And let's see if I can go and find someone out there on an outlap. That's possibly up on their Delta. To help me distinguish that, I'm going to turn on the basic HUD. And that should allow us in the top left-hand corner of your screen to see the little, in that little capsule that's currently highlighted in green, just what the positive delta is. So for example, Ross Bartle here, almost up 0.4 seconds on his previous best lap time, which if he manages to complete the lap, he's got a long way to go around still, just going through the S-bends there. In fact, no, I lie. The track map is upside down. This is rounding the final corner, and we can see here it's coming across the straight. Finish now, 0.66 up. That is going to rocket himself up into 2nd position. It's not good enough for pole position. 0.135 down on his best, but that's certainly improved and landed him a front grid row spot for the time being. Sean Bingham is down on his Delta. I'm going to quickly have a look down the field, see if we can find Armand Debod pulling off. He's not going to be improving this lap. With only 30 seconds left in this quali session, he's not going to have another attempt to go out. Hannes van Veek is slightly up on his Delta, but I fear that's not enough to gain any sort of real positions. Yeah, Mike LaRue also on his delta on the bubble, rounding the final corner. Look at him drift out wide. He's going to have to be really... In fact, he's invalidated the lap. The time's immediately turned red just from that final corner. Paul Fenter is doing really well here, up 0.3 on his best. So 155.0 his current, that would put him up to a 154.7, and that's enough to rocket himself up about 3 or 4 positions if he manages to hold this until the end of the lap. Currently at P8, I reckon if he holds this, this will put him up until at least P3 or 4. In fact, he's improved even more now, up 0.7. So a cracking lap here at the death for Paul Fenter. What can he do as he rounds the corner heading up to the sharp right-hander? Through he goes into the little final chicane. He has maintained a 0.6 positive gap on his delta. Let's see if he manages to hold it to the line, dropping ever so slightly. Did keep it nice and tidy, staying inside track limits there, and he rockets himself up into P5. So up 3 positions from that P8. Which is going to be another bonus position if he managed to hold the 0.7, but he did drop a little bit in the end. Mark van Rensburg, meanwhile, has a safe and secure P1. Ross Bartle is going to be taking P2 alongside him. Sean Bingham is going to line up the second row. Sean Bingham and Hardis Boycer will be alongside him. Behind him, Paul Fenter and Armand de Bod. Hannes van Veek is not up on his delta, really. He's pretty much on his bubble, so that's not going to be an improvement. He'll line up P7. Mike LaRue is already in the pits for P8. Mark Sutton, P9, and Jason Luck will be rounding out your top 10. Alright, we will be back in about 4 minutes, just so we can wait out the wait time and a little bit of the formation lap. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Still side by side. Snella won't yield, Plato won't yield. Radicic says if you want to squabble, I'll just pass the pair of you.
Plato dives through on the inside, moves ahead. Jason Plato up into 3rd position. And behind Reed, it's Watts. Watts going through to 4th position. Reed's running wide. Tim Harvey's up behind them. He's going to go through. He's done it. Will Hoy is there too. Goodness me. Tarquini spins. They're all going off. Look at that. It's Tarquini!
back, up through the top of Copper's corner. Take that, Mansell runs around the inside. Can this boy drive? Out of my way, Clement, I'm up the inside of you. He's past Leslie, he's up into third position. This is amazing.
What a race! Titanic scrap for places. Wheeler's going to go through on the inside, right up behind, and out spins Rydell.
This is a motor racing, it's microsurgery. Could it get any closer than that?
Oh, not at all happy.
Side by side through clearways. Reed fighting back. He's trying to grind his wheel through the left door of Halo's car. Muller's up behind him. Jason Plater's in there for a couple of love as well. Three abreast in a panic, that won't work. Muller on the inside, and he's through.
Helen doesn't give way over the tyres. And Helen is going through, up into sixth position. Look at him, he's all over the Honda. There's the checkered flag.
Classic scenes there of the British Touring Car Championship. That is, of course, just in promotion of our Sim Volvo series that we are running alongside the GT3s here. Classic sounds of Murray Walker there on the commentary. But meanwhile, we are about to go racing here with round two. The cars have lined up double sides. They are awaiting the green lights as they round the final bend. They will be holding their positions left, right, trying to avoid any sort of start-go penalties for being out of position or for being too fast, quick out of the blocks. They have to maintain 70 kph. Here we go, lined up along the grid. Green light, we are racing. And it's the run down into turn one. Looks like Ross Bartle there has had an amazing start and got a little bit of a jump on Mark van Rensburg, who's going to have to go to the inside. But I think Ross Bartle is able to sweep around the outside in his McLaren and take provisional lead of this race. But look at the attack that Mark van Rensburg is doing side by side. And he's again trying to go around the outside of that long left-hander that I mentioned, turn three. And here's the yellow Aston Martin of Paul Venter looking to come through as well, and he's just dipped back into third position. Meanwhile, the rest of the field looks to have gotten away largely cleanly, which is pretty great in the inclement weather that you're seeing on screen. The rain itself is fairly constant right now, but you can see in the top right hand corners of your screen the weather is going to be improving. There's a tiny little minus sign next to the cloud, and that does mean that the rain is going to be easing up ever so slightly. I don't expect it to stop raining at all tonight, but the conditions will be getting slightly better for the drivers. I'm going to hop down further field. Let's see where we can find some good gaps here. There is a close gap here. Hardest Boycer, he's stuck in the middle of it. P6 right now in his Ferrari, and he has Armand de Bod in front of him, and Hannes van Veek for company behind, in that menacing little looking Ferrari, black with the brownish red accents and the trident. And you can see the rain light flashing on his car, wipers going considerably mad. But meanwhile, the field has seemingly settled down into a single foul rhythm right now. Obviously, everyone's on the wet tyre currently. And the first benchmark lap times have been put down. Ross Bartle across the line in current P1 for Black ALM Sports Racing. He has laid down a 155.6. That's a pretty good starting lap considering conditions right now. Skipping across down to Mike LaRue here challenging. We have a car up, and that's Armand de Bod. You can recognize the green and purple livery. He joins ahead. You can see Andrew Governor coming through there in his BMW. He manages to join up in front of Roxanne Bartle down all the way in P15. A little bit of side-by-side action here. That is Andrew Governor, I think, in fact, executing a pass on Martin Groenewald. And just ahead of them, in fact, still side-by-side here. Look at this, Andrew Governor. Bartle's trying to come back at him. Sorry, not Bartle, Groenewald. Stick with this battle for now. Headlights blazing and reflecting off the mirror-like surface of the track, such as how wet it is out there tonight. And certainly some great scenes. It is 8 p.m. simulated here in Spain. Still quite light out, but it may certainly start getting a lot more darker as the hour and summer goes by. Hour 10 left. Of course, it's a 75-minute race out there at the start. There is a pit window you can see is open in the middle of your screen. They have the entire race duration to pit for their one mandatory pit stop. I see Timothy Gomez, way down in 23, has already taken his pit stop. That was a very early stop for him. And perhaps he needed to pit early to fix some damage, or perhaps he otherwise made a mistake and went out on the wrong tire or something. But I'm going to guess damage for now and an early repair for sure. Jason Luck in his Porsche is just peeling off to the mid-side, looking to find a way onto Hannes van Wyk. But it's not going to be on this particular occasion. He has Mark Sutton behind him. Look at how close that is actually in Mark Sutton's Ferrari, and just beyond him the McLaren of Gidrius Group A. Oh, a little bit of a slide there by Gidrius as he's just coming through on the back of that Porsche. Jason looking to run a little defensive. He popped out to the right just to try and block or defend that move, but far enough away behind for the time being that ultimately something more drastic wasn't necessary. Armand de Bod trying to make up a few positions after having that spin a lap or two ago. Is hunting down that white and red BMW of Engine Governor. A little bit further down the field here, Dennis Gillett. It's McLaren on McLaren. He is behind Renier Hatting. And it's, I might be mistaken, is that front end damage on that orange McLaren? That bonnet seems to be a little lifted just from the amount of panel gap that I'm seeing there. I'm not sure that's part of the livery paint job. In fact, yeah, I can see now there's a little bit of a crumple zone at the front of that McLaren, so looking a little second hand already he is. I'm going to quickly see if I can find out if he's got any sort of wheel issues with suspension. Well, as he comes through the chicane, we'll get a really good idea as he goes onto the main straight, how straight he's holding the wheel, just to be able to maintain driving a straight line. Let's see now. Yes, is that a slight hold to the left? Possibly a little bit of minor suspension damage on there for Dennis Gillett, I would hazard to guess. He is opting to stay out there for the time being. I'm sure he thinks it's perhaps manageable. And this is the closest battle on track right now. Martin Groenewald on the back of Endren Govender in his McLaren, chasing down that big ugly ass nose of the BMW. If you ask me, I'm not a fan of the new BMW design, but love it or hate it. Perhaps it's like Marmite for some. And ooh, look at this racy here on the McLaren. He's all over the back of him. Let's see if we can go on board. Not like that. Let's go for the dashboard camera onto the back of Endren Govender. Look at the spray on the windscreen. It is wet out there. Wet, wet, wet wipers will be on full power, set to 3, I think. Meanwhile, at the front of the pack, Ross Bartle has a significantly large lead at this early stage of the race. He is almost 4.5 seconds up from Paul Fenter, who is rounding the final corner now as we speak and shooting down the main pit straight. And in current third position, Sean Bingham. So there's a significant amount of gap here to then Mike LaRue. And he is mostly leading the rest of the pack now. Hardest Boyser and Mark van Rensburg, all Venomworks racing cars. They're very prominent livery with the Viper on the side. Very tactfully done, nice color scheme. Kudos to the livery designer there, whoever that was in question for the team. Good job. Quick shout out to everyone in chat as well. Thanks for tuning in tonight live. I see Nico is there. I think that's Hilton representing iRacing Southern Africa. Sean and Dan, how's it guys? Good to have you with me and everyone else on the stream, as well as tuning in perhaps post-race. Good to have you with us and supporting us. Speaking of supporters, you'll see a couple of new logos on stream tonight in the bottom left-hand corner. First off is just starting with the silver sponsor, ALM Solutions. That is proudly sponsored by Ashley Breadroll Wilson. And big O thanks to him for sponsoring our infinite size practice service for both ACC as well as AC that run for us 24/7. And then JooTech, the logo you're seeing on screen right now. JooTech Simworks has been a long time partner of Simrous South Africa, and good to have them as our gold sponsor for the next while. And they are essentially helping us run these race servers sponsored and hosted by simracing.gp, and that allows us to actually bring all the action to you on screen across all the divisions. So Division 1 and Division 2, we have a race in parallel happening as we speak. And with that being said, we have an infinite amount of slots at Simracing South Africa. There's no cuts off or any max size. We can support anyone. The grids dynamically expand. So if you're looking to join, head on over to simracesa.co.za and you'll find the Discord link at the top of the webpage, and then you'll be able to come and say hi and chat to us, and we'll get you on your way to racing with us. Gidrius on the back of Andrew Governor. That looks like Bartle and Martin Quinnevolt's running in tow behind them. It looks like Gidrius is running, looking to... Oh, a little contact there with Engine Governor as he looks to go back around the outside, but I think that's it's not going to have enough oomph. But look at that Bartle now, Roxanne, that is, alongside Engine Governor in the background there. And this is Engine Governor under significant pressure here, just having lost one position and about to lose another to Roxanne Bartle. Here's Rearwood over the BMW spoiler, looking a little scuffed there actually, but that actually might just be part of the livery, because I don't think you can damage the wing to that sort of degree. It's probably just part of the paint job. And opening up a big gap there under that mini straightaway, but hard under braking. The McLaren comes nice and close, but any sort of free space, this BMW certainly has the legs and will put the gap on the McLaren behind. But for now, it is a trio of McLarens hunting down this BMW, which is actually looking a little worse for wear at the rear end. So perhaps he has received a little bit of contact damage from the rear, as well as the side tap that we saw earlier. And meanwhile, lives to go another lap with the two Black Alcim Sports McLarens just behind, as we can see crossing the line as we speak. Just flicked over to Hardest Boyser, who I saw reflected as being off track here. Let me see if I can get a 30-second replay before it's too late on this silly broadcasting tool from Kunos. see if this works. So this was coming down to the first corner. He's just outbraked himself. And he's gone straight off, across the kiddie litter, and into the wall. Hard luck, hardest Boycer. Perhaps he was a little bit under pressure there. We're back live now from whoever was chasing him at the time. Mike LaRue here is being chased, oh no, chasing Sean Bingham. On board here, looking onto the rear, into the chicane, a tricky braking zone. Oh, and slippery over the curbs there. You could see the snap in direction. There was definitely a correction needed on board there from Mike Lou, just to keep it in check as they scamper across the start-finish line, run down into turn one. Will there be any sort of late braking maneuvers? I don't think so, not from the caliber of these guys. They won't take risks like that in this rain. Gidrius is coming down the start-finish lane right now on the back of hardest Boycer. This is for position P9. He is ultra close. Is he going to pull out? It's a little bit late to do it now, so I think he's just, yep, he's going to hold his own, hold the line, and look to do it in another corner. Roxanne Bartle, just having a quick look down here on the back of Martin Groenewold's. Nothing happening there. Back up to Gudrius. Just catching up on the chat again. I see Hilton, you're saying you're missing the race tonight due to plugs on the DB board blowing. Oh, that is tragic, man. Sorry to hear about the bad luck. That sucks. It's always stressful having electricity issues at the home. And, yeah, you get that sorted quickly, man. And Sean shouting for Renier Hatting. So Renier, where's Renier right now? He is currently sitting in P17. He is hunting down that green McLaren of James Stroud in front of him, also in the McLaren himself. And yeah, if I'm neglecting anyone here on track, just give me a shout. When I see your message, I'll go and see what's going on with them right now. I'm going to go back to the fight and the closest battle on track, which is this Mike LaRue on the back of Sean Bingham, just rounding the final corner now. Onto the back straight they go. Mike already opting to run a little bit outside of the spray of Sean Bingham, perhaps just for visibility, but he tucks back in line now as they approach the corner, just to make sure he's on the right line. And I see a couple more drivers have also opted to take their pit stops already. Mark Sutton is another one now, alongside Armand Debard and Timothy Gomez, who took that early pits, or the earliest pit stop. Paul Fentis somewhat running on his own right now, and a little bit outside track limits there, but he is almost 8 seconds behind Ross Bartle now. He is really scampering away, isn't he? And 5 seconds ahead of Sean Bingham in position 3. Closest battle on track, I think, is now Adrian Govender and Roxanne Bartle. The battle for P11. Or actually, Martin Groenewold has got past Endron. The timing board has not yet updated. It's still saying Endron is in P11 and Martin Groenewold behind, but that is not what I'm seeing on track with my own eyes. And there you can see Groenewold very clearly in front of Govender, so that pass has already happened, and there it flicks over, the leaderboard's updated. So Govender's dropped down 1 and is now in the middle of a Macca sandwich with Roxanne Bartle behind him. Artist Boyson now on the back of Moritz Krokam. Rounding the final corner. This is also quite close. And immediately on the defensive goes Krokam. Feeling quite threatened there. You can see just how much he is feeling that. He's gonna look to slide back into left just so he can get the racing line for T1. Slipping and sliding, and he pulls the car into position. Doesn't outbrake himself, which is good, but look at the pressure now right on the bubble here into T2 and long right-hander T3. I think sliding behind them was that Kidrius, yeah, in his black Mac with the orange and blue highlights. Just sort of seemingly slipping and sliding behind them as well. It's definitely still very wet out there. Just under an hour to go now. About 20 minutes have gone by. Coming up on 20 minutes gone by. Here goes the move. Hardest Boyster is under attack. Oh, there's contact. I'm sorry to say. Sorry to see it. And that's allowed Gidrius through. As Moritz crew comes off second best in that little scrap. And we may need to have a look at what happened there if we get a steward's inquiry, unless that's just racing. Difficult to say without seeing it yet again from all the onboards and the cameras. But that is why we have stewards. Quickly having a look at Rainier Hatting is 0.4 seconds behind Jaco de Beer. Look at that on the hunt. Ooh, slipping and sliding under braking there, Hatting. He's actually doing quite nicely for himself here up in this mid-pack battle. Adrian Govan is still managing to stay ahead of Roxanne Bottle, also running a little bit defensively there until he slots back online now. Rainier Hatting side by side with Jaco de Beer. This is a battle for P15. Hatting still behind Jaco de Beer for now. Rainier Hatting also driving for Black Owl Sim Sports. They don't seem to have turned in a custom livery for me tonight. I did run the awesome Simmer livery sync tool. They have coordinated or lined up their colors. And off track we see James Stroud in the background, just upbraking himself for that turn. But yeah, so black and green, or yellowish green. That's no custom livery forthcoming just yet. The Black Ops Sports. Back up to Mark van Rensburg, who is under attack by no one. He is chasing down Mike LaRue. Oh, running very much to the inside there. I think you're a bit too far back for that, Mark. Unless he's just trying to sort of throw off Mike LaRue in front, and that's Sean Bingham. Currently in P3, so being brought right back down together here, this battle for, essentially let's call it a podium battle, P3. Mike doing a little bit of opposite lock there as he comes through in the exit of turn 3. And definitely getting darker now. Since the start of the race, definitely a lot more shadows befalling, and the headlights blazing a little bit more brightly in the contrast, and slightly off track there, gets it all wrong, Mark van Rensburg. That's fallen, he's fallen back from this P3 battle, but Mike LaRue is still on it here with Sean Bingham. Let's have a quick look on board. What is he dealing with? A lot of spray. Feathering the throttle through that right-handed down this sort of mini back straight now, and it's going to be a hard braking zone at the bottom of the hill. And you can see Sean running defensive, just sort of parking it on that apex, not allowing any sort of movement through. And this is always a tricky section of the track. There's not a lot of grip here coming through. You can see the buckets of standing water just getting pushed out of the way. And into the final chicane. They're pretty much neck and neck as they go around the final corner now. And I feel like Mike might be in a very strong position here for this drag race up to turn 1, but it looks like Sean actually may have got a better exit, but they're still neck and neck here. Is there going to be a pull out to the inside by Mike LaRue? He's going for it, he's looking. I think he's going for it, he's committing. And as long as he doesn't outbrake himself, which I think he has, and he has to go onto the rumble strips, that's going to compromise his exit speed, and Sean Bingham is going to swoop back around the outside to retake that position. So good attempt, thwarted there by just being outbraked, or outbraking himself. But a good battle to see on track. Right now, back on the same thing, Roxanne Bottle onto the back of Andrew Governor. I don't think she's as close as the two. Is she going to pull out and have a look at the inside line? Not this time at all. Who else can do it? Mark Sutton on the back of Anthony Mertz. Again, same passing opportunity now. Who's going to have the better exit leading out of the final corner? Drag race down the main straight. Is he close enough to have a little look? Pull that to the side. I think he is remaining content for now behind Anthony Maria. Here's a late lunge. He takes the inside line and he manages to round the corner and keep it in track limits. That was an outstanding move for car control in that Ferrari. Just given the lateness of that lunge, but he made it stick. There was not a whiff of chance of contact in that move. So well done there. Just hopping back up to Mike LaRue here. Next battle on track, back on Sean Bingham. Rensburg managing to catch up again quite quickly after he slightly outbraked himself in a few corners ago. Around the final chicane. Let's see from the helicam footage here, just on the main straight. Sean Bingham leading this pack of 3. Is there any sort of move from Mike LaRue behind? Ending T1, T2, no one's on the rumble strips here, and then it's the long left-hander of T3. All seemingly under control, no signs of any drama right now. Bingham still managing to hang on to this, but look at Mark van Rensburg now. Just brought himself up. He had to bail out of that move, essentially. And let's just have a look at Mark van Rensburg's perspective in front of us, if we can see for the spray, that is. Just coming around the final corner now. Final chicane. Quick left-right action here. That's a good amount of saturation on the windscreen. Desperately being wiped away. He pulls out. I think that's obviously not just to have any sort of move. He just wants to get out of the spray, I think, for now. Just have some good visibility so you can spot what's going on ahead. Make sure that no one's doing anything silly. As Mike LaRue looks onto Sean Bingham, there are no sort of desperate moves happening there just yet. No one in the top 17 has taken their pit stop yet. Imagine they might go possibly to the halfway. at least. There might be some very late splash and dash pit stops that we've seen before, but it all depends on the inclement weather and how these wet tires are holding up. I don't think they're going to be wearing too badly, so you may actually see a lot of drivers going a little bit longer into the race. The cooler track temperatures, it is of course 20 degrees Celsius ambient and also 20 degrees trackside. So now that night has befallen and with the rain, the temperatures are remaining constant and constantly cool. Very close now. Michael is on the back of Sean Bingham. Oh, a little bit of a lunge there, and having to take some avoiding action, Mark Leroux is. I wonder, he's going straight into the pits. And surprising given what I just mentioned, but he is opting to take an early pit stop. Manages to pull it up on the brakes before the timing line to avoid getting any sort of drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane that we've seen all too often before. But meanwhile, that has released Mark van Rensburg to go and hunt down Sean Bingham if he so desires. But now it's going to be very interesting. So Mike Leroux being the first of the top runners here to take an early pit stop. How is the rest of the field going to respond? The other drivers will see that happening in their MFDs, their multifunction displays, and they will be able to respond accordingly. Do they mirror what he does and come in next lap? Do they hold out and try and do the opposite? Do they go for an what's the word? A late pit maneuver? So the overcut, sorry, as opposed to the undercut. Endrin Governor is another one that's just pulled into the pit, so he's taking his pit stop. I wonder if he's going to opt to repair any damage. I'm sure if it is just a minor aerodynamic damage, which it certainly looks like, he is not going to be touching anything on that car other than putting on a little bit of fuel and perhaps fresh boots. Tires to flip is about 30 seconds in the Sette Corsa Competizione. Splash and dash fuel, I mean, that depends on how much you're putting in. And damage repair can be anything from 30 seconds as well, alongside, of course, to a little bit longer, depending if there's suspension damage involved. That's usually the most painful, aside from aerodynamic, of course. Ooh, big oversend there, Mark van Rensburg on the exit of the final corner. Not too bad, they're managing to keep it in a straight line. And Endrin Governor is rolling, as is Mike Leroux, who's come out in P17. Endrin Governor currently out in P21. We have seen 2 DNFs so far. So beyond position 21, we did have a few more cars on grid. It looks like Richard Bera has unfortunately disconnected from the server, and Dennis Gillett as well. I'm seeing post-race reports here of Dennis Gillett saying he lost connection to the server after AfriHost. Unfortunately, his internet service provider had a wobble. Sorry to hear, Dennis. Sometimes happens. And this is Jason Luck in his Porsche coming up in theory to lap Endrin Governor now, having taken his pit stop. Knowing they aren't technically fighting for position, ideally they don't get too dramatically involved with each other. But that's up to the drivers to recognize that and react and respond accordingly. Here we see Endrin getting nicely out of the way deliberately for Jason Luck. He's on a different part of the race right now to him, not having taken his pit stop. It doesn't make sense for either of the drivers to be battling each other. It's in both of their best interests to just let them through. Hardest Boyser has also been let through by Engine Governor. As you can see in the background there, Hardest currently in P7 coming across the start finish line. And he is battling Jason Luck for position in the Porsche. See the interior of the car nicely lit up there in purple. A little bit of mood lighting. Armand de Bod down in P19. He is on the back of Anthony Moritz. And running very wide into the final chicane. Need to make sure he doesn't get too many track cuts. As far as I understand, if you cut 3 times, by the 4th time you will have a stop go 30 penalty. Nero Hatting reporting as on the back of Jaco de Beer for position. Just flicking between those drivers as the closest battles on track. Armand de Bod on the back of Anthony Moritz right now. They are, in fact, swooped round to the outside. Armand de Bod has to get past Anthony Moritz. The tower should update itself very shortly. Armand de Bod having taken his pit stop already, so that is a great gain on Anthony Moritz, who is yet to take his pit stop in his Ford. One of the only Fords that I see on grid tonight, if not the only remaining Ford Mustang in the race tonight. A little bit of a fall from grace here. The Ford Mustang was one of the most popular selections in the GT3 Championship last season, and it's dwindled down to, I think, just a handful across both Division 1 and 2 this current season, in favor of McLaren and Ferrari 296, as you can see glancing up and down the leaderboard. Mark Sutton, meanwhile, is coming up to Rainier Hatting. And Jaco de Beer just in the foreground of your picture there. This is battle for position P13, ultimately. And all of these guys neck and neck. Running very defensive up the inside is Jaco de Beer. Now brought side by side is Rainier Hatting onto Mark Sutton. Mark Sutton currently in the middle of these three. Just seen the weather report here. While it's going to be decreasing in intensity in 10 minutes time, it is going to be increasing again in half an hour's time, and that's about 8 minutes beyond the end of the race. So a little bit of fluctuations, and off track goes de Beer and goes through Mark Sutton, and Rainier Hatting I think is going to get the jump on him as well. Into the final chicane, you can just see how bunched these cars are actually. And into the pits, Rainier Hatting decides to go. So that's released Jaco de Beer. Now he just has James Stroud to contend with, but technically that's not on the same lap, even though it is technically for position, because he needs to take his pit stop. Mike LaRue is bolting through right now, so this is all legally for position, so no one needs to jump out of the way right now. But yeah, just recognizing that James Stroud is technically on a different strategy, so he kind of got out the way, I think. And this is just Mike Leroux on Jaco de Beer. Jaco is also yet to take his pit stop, so technically he might decide to not lose any time battling Mike Leroux, who's coming through, is pretty much one of the front runners. I think Mike Leroux was P5 by the time he pitted, somewhere around there. And side by side here, they're entitled to fight, being on the same lap. So running very defensive is Jaco de Beer up the inside. And through that chicane, he manages to keep it relatively tidy. And this is now going to be hauling down towards the end of that back straight. A little wiggle by Jaco de Beer behind. Jaco and James Stroud are technically both fighting for position here because they neither of them have taken their pit stop. So it is Ferrari versus McLaren. Meanwhile, I see Paul Fenter has taken provisional lead of this race, and that is probably going to be short-lived just from the pit stops that have taken place. I see Ross Bartle has taken his pit stop and is currently in P9 now. Obviously he was leading this race just before then with his sister Roxanne Bartle in P10, but now reporting is in the pit, so she's going to drop down a couple of positions, anticipating Mark Sutton and Mike Leroux overtaking shortly, as one of them just does so. And now both of them. So Paul Fenter out there, any guesses as to how long he's going to hang on to the lead of this race? Just judging from how round one went, he pitted extremely late into the race. I was actually really seriously worried for him that he was going to get a penalty if he didn't pit in time. So he literally chose to pit at the death. Will it be the same again tonight? Could be. It could be his favored strategy. Do a little splash dash at the end. Now Aston Martin tends to be quite stable on a full fuel tank, and especially in these wet conditions, I think he might be favouring his chances and advantages of a late splash dash. But meanwhile, Hardest Boyser on the back of Jason Luck for position P5. And all over the place there, that is Mr. Myberg of Tyrone, who's going to be showing the blue flags and gets out of the way of these two that are racing for position. Jason Luck and the Porsche looking very squiggly there. And let's see if we look over the rear wing of Jason Luck. Is how closely Hardest Boyser can manage to catch up behind. Looking very calm and collected here, certainly from the exterior cameras. Oh, a little bit of an accordion effect there. Closing up hard under braking into the final chicane. And Porsche seems to be dancing through that chicane as they round the final corner now. And it's going to be a drag race up to the finish line. How racy is Hardest Boyser feeling? Is he going to jump to the inside? Jason is running defensive now into T1. And is he going to be able to maintain a tight line here? Ooh, that is close, and Hardest needs to bail out of that to a degree, but maintains track position. the inside here. There's a smidgen of a gap. It almost seems like they're drifting through that corner as well. And look how menacing Hardest looks in the mirrors, weaving left, weaving right. We see Goodreads jump into the pits as we speak. This battle is ongoing. Jason Luck trying to sweep in front and around the optimal racing line at the final minute, running defensive as late as he can. This is a fast section now, this little right. Whoa, he's made a mistake. And there's heavy contact as he tries to rejoin the track, and I think he's come off second best there, dare I say, of his own doing after that little mistake. But worthy of a Stewardson cry if you get one. And Hardest Boyce otherwise, meanwhile, has been released. And Jason Luck, he's right at the Porsche, and I think hasn't lost out too badly, because even though Andrew Governor in his white and red BMW got past him, that is, well, he lost out a little, I guess. Andrew Governor has taken his pit stop. Jason Luck has yet to take his own pit stop. I wonder if this will force Jason now into the pits. We shall have to see. We essentially come to the second to last before the chicane, and straight after that is the pit lane entrance. Will he dive into it? Nope, he is staying out there, so he is gonna continue hunting. So Ross Bartle in P8 currently, but he's the first of the drivers to have completed his pit stop. Coming up on Moritz Krogkamp in front of them, just seen plowing through your picture in the foreground in the green and black Ferrari. Just up the road there, and that'll be essentially lap traffic for Ross Bartle to get past once he manages to catch up. In terms of catching speeds, so Ross Bartle's last lap was a 151.9, Moritz was a 152.0. So whilst close, that is inching closer and closer, Ross Bartle. Here we see Hannes van Wijk in his Venomworks BMW, currently sitting in P4, enjoying that for the time being until the leaders who've done their pit stops come through. And he is being chased down by Hardest Boyce, who's on the same strategy here. Both have not taken their pit stops, so Hardest is approximately, what is the gap, 10 seconds behind Hannes van Wijk. He's got Jaco de Beer for traffic company in front of him that he needs to make his way past before he is able to hop by. We see the blue flags being raised there just in the foreground, just indicating to Jaco de Beer that we have a faster driver about to come through. There you see the blue flags on the left hand side of your screen. As a reminder to our viewers, this is not Formula 1. Blue flags are advisory. So what that means is that Jaco de Beer does not need to jump out of the way erratically or in a hurry. He just needs to maintain consistency, be predictable, and not defend the corner. And that is all we simply ask of the blue flag rules. And it's up to the faster car to pass, which Hardest Boyser has done successfully without any drama now as he rounds the final corner. Continues his hunt to catch the BMW. Hans van Beek in front of him, who's coming up on the red and yellow Ferrari of Timothy Gomez. And also somewhat lapped traffic here. Inching closer and closer to Timothy Gomez here. The blue flags are now solidly out. And I'm sure there will be an opportunity for Hans van Beek to get past very soon. In fact, there it is. Timothy Gomez peeling off. Very generous. Probably a slight lift, if any, of the accelerator pedal, and Hans van Beek is able to just make his way through that left-hander without any drama. Anthony Moritz in P10 is now in the pits. And that literally just leaves the top 5 now, have yet to pit. With the Hardest Boyser being at the back of this train, also now trying to make his way past some lap traffic here. Martin Groenewald in front of him as they go through the final chicane. And Martin Groenewald leaving oodles of space for Hardest on the inside there. And in the background we saw that green of Mark Sutton. No, that was not Mark Sutton. Who did I see in the green? It's probably Armand de Bod. I see, this is interesting. Maritz Krocamp is in the pits for a second time. And that was also an extremely quick pit stop. I wonder what that was about. Pitting for the second time unnecessarily, as we see Anthony Maritz do something interesting. I almost thought he was pulling back into a pit stop there, but collects a speed limit marker board as he exits the pits now, crossing that white line. Dare I say a little bit early, but I don't think the game penalizes you for that one, so we'll let it slide if it's let him slide. And quite a nice livery there as well on this Oxford Distributors or Distributions, I think it is. Custom livery. Nice South African flag emblazoned on the top and a little bit of zebra striping on the front. And Colossians 3:17 emblazoned on the front of the bonnet as well. Lots of other little, tiny little details. The effort the guys put onto these liveries is really admirable. It is not a quick and easy thing to do. So really kudos to those who go through the effort. It is noticed and appreciated. Wild thing. Livery on the back left rear bumper panel next to that Mustang. I do like the tail cluster of that one, but yeah, this is for position here. Maritz Krocamp is caught up a hell of a lot. In fact, these guys must be teammates here, because they're also, yeah, and I wonder if that was team orders as Krocamp comes through, because he's also in the Oxford green livery. Didn't quite see the South African flag on the roof of this one, so maybe slightly different liveries, but definitely part of Oxford ATT Racing. Good looking Ferrari, that one. That livery as well. Quite as detailed as Anthony Mertz, I dare say, but still a good attention to detail. Right, let's go and find out where everyone is on track. One car that I'm not seeing, which is worrying me terribly, is Mike LaRue. I do believe we may have had a disconnect, DNF from Mike LaRue. Quite sure when that happened. I think it was about 3 laps ago, according to my timing board. I missed out on him dropping out of the server. And that is an unfortunate DNF there from Mike LaRue, now confirmed. He completed 23 or 22 laps. So out of the running. But meanwhile, Ross Bartle here is chasing down to regain podium positions here. He has Hardest Boyser to catch. His next victim up the field, that is. It does look like it's about 20 seconds up the road. I've just seen Mike LaRue write in chat. His wheel has had a full failure. So that is a serious hardware issue that has befallen Mike. Sorry to hear, Mike. And he's also just worried that he might be out for the rest of the season if he can't get it fixed in a hurry or get a substitute. So, best of luck there, Mike, in terms of a fix. That's unfortunate. And all the best wishes for getting a quick repair. So, in terms of catching speed here, Ross Bartle's last lap is 151.0. Hardest Boyser has done a 152.3 on his last lap. So, catching about a second and a bit per lap, Ross is. And at 14 seconds gap behind. I mean, it's still a significant amount of time and track position to catch up here. Ross Bartle is basically heading into the final chicane now, and Hardest Boyser, meanwhile, is in the middle of the start-finish line. Quick look up and down the field. Timothy Gomez, currently in P12 in his yellow and red Ferrari, is about a second and a half behind Roxanne Bartle for position. There you can see it in your picture as we take the trackside zoomed out camera. The field definitely somewhat spread out now with just under 20 minutes to go remaining in this race. The top 5 yet to pit still. I'm still betting, if it's anything like last race, that Paul Fenter is going to go extremely late into the race for that overcut and do a splash and dash at the end. All the wall, Fenter staying out of the wall tonight. Wayland R Racing. Steady state. And meanwhile, Mark van Rensburg, he's about 14 seconds behind, 14-15 Paul. Also just sort of settled into a rhythm now. His last set of 5 laps all being very... Ooh, that's Jason in the Porsche. Turned around. I'm going to go and do a little 30-second back and let's see what happened to Jason. Looks like the long right-hander of turn 3. Getting into T4. Does he out? He's just out, braked himself and came into a little spin. Maybe locked up the brakes a little bit and around he went, but he's on his way again. Still holding P10. The gap behind, he's got still a healthy gap to Roxanne Bartle, 13 seconds behind him. Let's put him into a little bit of no man's land, as about 25 seconds up the road is the next position. Gidrius, P9. So this is the closest battle on track right now, despite it being quite a largish gap. It looks like Jaco de Beer is about just under 2 seconds behind. In fact, no, I lied. Timothy Gomez onto the back of Roxanne Bartle is your closest battle on track. Going through the middle chicane. Maintaining a good line there at 17. Has a little look just heading into that chicane. That's maybe just not unintentional. So Timothy's last lap was a 1:53.44. Roxanne's was a 1:53.49. So ever so slightly faster on the last lap. And if you can keep that up, there might be a battle developing here. Quick recap of your top three. So Paul Fenter hanging on to the top spot right now, 15 seconds down the road, Mark van Rensburg. And racing for Venomworks Racing. Sean Bingham is about 5 seconds behind. Going to the live tower. Make that 3.5-ish. Fluctuates. It's relatively close. Hannes van Veek, the other Venomworks driver, currently in P4, pelling his BMW around the track. About 10 seconds beyond Sean. You can see in the foreground Jason Luck, that is currently P10. None of the top 5 having bitten yet now. For their final pit stop, or only pit stop. One and only, unless it's unplanned second pit stop. We have seen that from one other driver on track tonight. This gap now come down into under a second. Timothy Gomez onto Roxanne Bartle, so continues to get closer. With just 14 minutes left in this race. Let's call it 2 minutes a lap. It's only going to be about 7-8 laps left. Down through the gears, Roxanne Bartle's McLaren goes. You love the sound of this McLaren's engine. Nice and raspy. Oh, look at that wobble there from Timothy Gomez behind, but he manages to catch it and keep it out of the wall. That could have been a hell of a drama. James Stroud just running a little bit wide there. We're coming onto the back straight, heading down into Jaco de Beer is the position P14 battle happening. It's out there for Oxford ATT Racing. And they're green. And Hardest Voice is in the pits. So he's the first of the 5 to bite now. And that is a start. We'll time that a good 30 seconds, I'm guessing. Perhaps less. I'll let you know. No, that's an extremely quick stop. So that is definitely splash dash territory. Definitely just added a little bit of fuel and off he went. And as you saw there in the foreground, that was Ross Bartle making his way past now. And that gap, there's not much in it. This is Ross Bartle coming up to some lap traffic here. Timothy Gomez, he takes quite a committed run down there into the inside, but clean in the end. And Hardest Voice, just having a look here, he is coming up also into some lap traffic. I believe this is in front of him, if I'm not mistaken. Renier Hatting, yeah, that is blue flags. I think, well, I was about to say there was the allowed position switch coming through, but not quite yet. It might be happening down at the final chicane, or it might actually just happen now. Almost has some contact there, but I think he saw him coming at the last second. Fortunately, no contact was made by Renier Hatting. And into the pit now is Hannes van Veek. And out of the pits is Hannes van Veek, so that also looked like a splash and a dash. Coming down, start finish line, and that is car number 12, which is Hardest Voice behind him. So that is the gap for P5 and P6 respectively. It is now just the top 3 reflected that have yet to pit, starting with Sean Bingham, who is about 20 seconds up the road from Ross Bartle. Now, I'm pretty sure with the entrance and the exit to the pit lane, it's probably going to need about 30 seconds for a pit stop here. Maybe a little less. For splash and dash, depends how long you're going to be. So I think, let's see, how far up the road is Paul? Gap is 14 plus 7 is about 20 seconds as well. Plus another 20 odd for Ross. He's about 40 seconds up the road, I'd guess, to Ross Bartle right now. And that might actually be enough of a buffer if he's putting in like 1 liter of fuel. Also depending on how held up Ross Bartle is by traffic here. So he's coming up onto car number 9, which is Roxanne Bartle. There's definitely going to be no holds barred there, I'd say. Being on a completely different lap, that is, not just because they're in the same team / same surname / same family. Keeping a close eye though. There's I was going to say that looked like a, yeah, very much a yield coming from Roxanne Bartle there to allow Ross Bartle through. Supposedly. Maybe not. Maybe it was just a mistake. No, there he swoops through now. That certainly seemed a little non-obvious, but eventually came through in the end. And just under 5 or roughly on 5 seconds up the road, Sean Bingham. He was going to be the first to pip now after these, well, of these top 3. And it's Mark van Rensburg. In he goes. And here we have his pit stop rolling up to the gates. I'm anticipating a very quick splash dash here. Just 7 minutes left to go. Surely this is a 1 liter fuel situation. Into the box. It's 1 second, 2 seconds, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds, and his car is rolling. And we've just seen Sean come past Mark van Rensburg. He's rolling out in position 3. Has he managed to stick it ahead of Ross Bartle? No, it's not possible. The timing board just hasn't updated. There's a little delay. So in your top left of your screen, you'll see Ross Bartle currently reflected in 4. That is not true. He is P3 ahead of Mark van Rensburg. And I think the gap is about 10 seconds that he has a healthy lead. So, Sean Bingham, P2, and Paul Venter. Last remaining drivers to pit. And that gap now, let's just calculate from Ross Bartle all the way up into Paul Venter, who is driving to the pits as we speak. So let's keep an eye on Ross Bartle. He is going to be the one. Paul Venter is still rolling. It's going to feel like a painfully slow pit lane right now, and I think he is not going to have enough time, I would reckon. He's still rolling. Paul, looks like his pit box is all the way at the far end of the straight. Paul Venter is now stationary. I'm guessing it's going to be about a 7-second stop again for a splash of fuel. This is on board now with Ross Bartle, who is queued to overtake him. And Sean Bingham is also in the pits, by the way. And here we go, sailing across the finish line. And Paul Venter is rolling, by the way. Has he done it? Where's the cam? This is the helicam. That's the gap. He's done it. Paul the Wall has bested the brains and done it the splash dash. He's maintained enough of a gap, and that is brilliant from Paul Venter, who maintains now a lead ahead of Ross Bartle. Where's Sean Bingham? He is exiting the pit lane as we speak. Mark van Rensburg is ahead of him, so he's going to come in basically P4, that is Sean Bingham. Mark van Rensburg holding on to that P3 podium spot for now. So that is brilliant now, but with just 4 minutes left to go, Paul is going to be under some serious attack from Ross Bartle, I would think. And we'll have to see here, best lap times in comparison. Paul Venter's best lap is 151.24, Ross Bartle 150.79. Is Paul going to be able to hang on to it? It's one thing to catch, it's another to pass. So the battle is on here for the ultimate lead of this race at Barcelona in the wet. Who can take it? Any bets in chat? Is Paul going to be able to hold off Ross Bartle? Or has Ross got this one in the bag? And should Paul be very stressed right now? Or is Paul's nerves like a rock? Unwavering. Mark van Rensburg, meanwhile, I don't think he's going to be worrying too much about Sean behind, who's 6 seconds down the road, sparing any sort of mistake from Mark van Rensburg, which is highly unlikely. Hardest Boyce, meanwhile, is half a second behind Hannes van Veek. So another close set of racing here, ultimately for that P5 Venomworks racing of Hardest Boyce. Sorry, not Hardest Boyce. I meant Hannes van Veek. Under attack here by Hardest Boyce. Closest battle on track, hardest boys on to Hannes van Wyk. Looks awfully close between these two drivers now, just sweeping around T3. Meanwhile, Ross Bartle is also half a second behind Paul Venter with just 2 minutes to go. Ooh, a little wiggly over the curbs there, a little bit aggressive. Hardest Boyster, meanwhile, what's he doing? P3. Close set of cameras. The bounce between these two battles here because they're literally neck and neck, the two of them, and I don't want to miss anything. Bartle lining up an attack on Paul. Through the final chicanes, under attack. Paul Venter running nice and defensive here, but it's going to compromise his exit into this final corner a little bit, and he's going to have to run defensive immediately. Ross Bartle, as we see the final lap chance happening. This is neck and neck. He's going to force Ross around the outside. He's still maintaining that inside line. Paul Venter is. Is he able to sling it around the outside? I don't think so. Paul will maintain the inside line into T2. And almost side by side there again as they now sweep through the long right-hander of T3. And it looks like for now Paul Venter surviving that attack for another day. What is happening with Hardest Boyster and Hannes van Wyk? Managing to keep that gap ahead for now on Hardest Boyster. BMW power out pacing that Ferrari for now. It's all about this battle up front here now. Aston Martin defending against McLaren. Both running fairly wide over that track. I wonder if they're just making the best of track limits at the death here, when you're allowed 3 outs and the 4th one you'll get your penalty only. Oh, desperately close here. In fact, pulled alongside now is Ross Bartle onto Paul Venter, who desperately tries to maintain some sort of inside line. Sliding though, goes wide, Ross Bartle, and it's left somewhat of a door, and he's managed to catch it and maintain in front there. And that position change as Paul goes sliding off in the background. And I think that sealed the deal, as Ross Bartle will be rounding the final corner now. And I think with no one to catch him, ooh, runs wide, almost does it, but across the line at the death there. A late pass on Paul Venter, who takes home a well-deserved P2 despite that daring pit move late at the death there. And Mark van Rensburg is going to come home for a excellent P3 for Venomworks Racing in his Ferrari. Sean Bingham across the line as we speak now in his Ferrari for P4. Hannes van Wyk manages to stay ahead of Hardest Boyster in his BMW. Also for Venomworks Racing, Hardest Boyster now across the line with a respectable P6. Mark Sutton comes across the line, P7. Amand de Bod in his McLaren is going to be coming home in P8. Eventually, Idrius, it's quite far down the track, in P8. Jason Luck in his Porsche is also coming along in P9. And then rounding out the top 10, it looks like, obviously having already gone past the start-finish line, is Roxanne Bartle rounding out your top 10. Sure, that was quite something in the wet here, round 2 at Barcelona. And that is going to be it for the racing and coverage tonight from myself, Ryan Hill. Thank you very much again to everyone for watching. Big thanks again, finally, to our sponsors, JooTech Simworks, proud gold sponsor of Simray South Africa, providing the racing servers sponsorship, and ALM Solutions, Again, to Ashley Birdwell Wilson for providing our practice servers that run 24/7 for both ACC and AC. Speaking of AC, we have the Sim Volvo coming up next week, Monday. We will be at Chang International Circuit. I think that's Taiwan. I think we've raced there once before, way in the past. This coming Wednesday, if there's enough interest, we also have a Maserati MCGT4 race at Laguna Seca, and that's an ad hoc on Assetto Corsa Competizione. So lots of action, lots of things happening. But yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks very much, everyone, and good night.